intimate partnerships are about healing and wholeness. We really become priest and priest to each other to do the healing from childhood, that we're ultimately wired for connection. And so in spite of the divorce rate, we keep coming back, looking for that partner, and it's because in nature, we are meant to heal each other, but we just need a tool to get us through the darkness. Harville will pick up with another direction on the compass. We do need to heal each other to find a new way of talking.
So I just want to underline that the thesis about couplehood suggests that, therefore, couplehood is not a psychological reality and a social structure only, but it is that rooted in an ontological structure, which is the structure of nature. And therefore, couplehood is a dyadic structure that produces us and produces marriages and families. Now, we think that given the fact that relationships continue to happen even in a period of turmoil, like a high divorce rate, and for the first time in history, more cohabiting couples, what is the right word? More couples living together, get a small word, living together.
Cohabitation.
Than heterosexual couples that are, anyway, y'all know what I'm doing. Recently, a few months ago, we learned that more couples are living together without the benefit of a wedding than couples are living together with the benefit of a wedding. Therefore, cohabitation is now exceeded couplehood. So, but nevertheless, people are coupling. And so we think that, and also the gay-lesbian issues are now becoming a conversation across the world and more acceptance of people's choices. And that what's going on, and the age at which people marry is getting older. So if you look at all the stuff that's going on, and this is just a few of it, one of the conclusions you have to come to is an experiment is now taking place. An old form of marriage that came into being about 300 years ago, which we call the democratic marriage, is now being replaced by new marriage. And we think that old marriage is being replaced because it contained relics of a vertical structure of experience, a vertical organization of experience, in which someone was up here and other people were down here. It was organized according to monarchies and hierarchies. And that what's been happening is a slow tilt of the vertical toward the horizontal. And that what's happening is a new marriage coming into being in which equity is arising out of a horizontal relationship. And that this new marriage is what we call a partnership marriage, conscious partnership. Conscious partnership whether married or not. That partnership, by definition, removes the vertical structure and makes it a horizontal structure. And that's the new marriage coming into being, the new relationship. Now,
but as I said, having a good marriage and being good parents are not enough. The anti-marriage culture is too strong. So how can we do intentional teaching and coaching and mentoring? And some of it is direct and some indirect. So here are just some thoughts. Again, my goal here is not to be definitive, but to start a conversation with you. And a number of these examples are from my own life and what I've observed. How can we be intentional in teaching, coaching, and mentoring our children? We can explain why we do what we do for our marriage. So Leah and I always had a date night, and I think we did some explaining that we like to be together and we want to kind of rekindle our relationship and keep it strong, as opposed to we just like to see movies, or we get tired of cooking at home, or we're tired of them. Actually, they were thrilled to have a good babysitter, right, who just gave them maximum attention. So it was a win-win. but we can explain why we do certain things because it's not obvious necessarily to children why we do what we do. We can talk about...
We put together a 6-part model. In the middle is what we're going to talk about first, the 3 beginning prongs. I have an undergraduate degree in economics, and one of the core parts of the American economic system is supply and demand. Supply and demand. And so this is kind of built around that. So the first prong of our strategy is, number 1, is increase the supply of marriage education in California. Just make it readily available. So that's prong number 1. We're going to talk about how we're doing that. Prong number 2 is increase demand for marriage education. So if we want to increase the amount of supply, in addition we increase the amount of demand, we'll get a lot of people providing marriage education and a lot of people seeking it. And the prong in the middle is a statewide website clearinghouse whereby all marriage-related resources and programs are listed on one website, and that's the way, frankly, where the increased demand can find the classes from the increased supply. So that's the core of our model. Increased supply, increased demand, website clearinghouse, so the two to come together. That's the inside. The circle on the outside is made up of three things. Number 1, we're calling prong 4 circles of care. That is, change the environment that the couples go into by ever-expanding circles of care. Number 5 is provide increased support for the marriage education program leaders. Don't just send them to marriage education training and think that they'll do okay. Let's give them additional support. And the 6th one is rigorous, and we call a 4-prong outcome evaluation to see, does this work? Does it work at a programmatic level? Does it work at a life-changing level?
You can talk a lot about things like pre-commitments. Now, pre-commitment is an idea in the economic literature, and I have a special version of how I like to think about this. I prefer actually to think about it as trigger points. But here's the basic idea. When you're working with individuals, and you can do this with couples too, but when you're working with individuals, you can get them to think ahead about, well, what needs to happen before I would want to marry somebody? So what needs to be in place? You know, so okay, so I want to see this, I want to see this, I want to see this, and then I'll do this. Or let's say having a bottom line about when I shouldn't be in the relationship. What would I see that would make me think I need to get out, I need to be safe, I need to move on? You can help people as individuals to pre-think that stuff out. And there's lots of reason to believe in several different kinds of literatures. If somebody already has a clear sense of what's my trigger point for this behavior, they're more likely to do that behavior once those conditions exist. So if we can have them thinking ahead about what are the things that would cause me to move a step more this way or a step more that way, it's a great opportunity in terms of helping.
So I'm going to transition to talking a little bit later in the developmental sequence. Some people actually have a child together and or get married with that anxiety, fear that we saw in that young lady. Other people are much more confident going into marriage. And I'm going to deal with the real world issue that we struggle with in our own work and many of you struggle with, and that is when you're trying to offer a relationship marriage education program to couples, or in reality to individuals, and you're outside of an institutional setting where the tracks, as Scott put it, are already laid, how do we get couples and even individuals into the room? And if we do just get one member of the couple, can we successfully intervene with that individual in a way that spills over positively to the relationship? And as I'll note that in the therapy literature, early on when I was starting my work, the clear answer was no. In fact, you would do harm. That was the message in the therapy literature. When you had an individual with a relationship problem and did intervention, you would do some harm. So I want to just start with, how do you think about couples and marital relationship education?
The goal here is to take what you're seeing, and this is coming from all over the country. And so my hope is that you'll get some great ideas, you'll take some of the things that I'm going to show you, and then you'll create new things, and next year we can come back to this and we can show even more new, creative billboards, PSAs, pillar wraps, you name it, you're going to see it. You know, one of the things that I think we have to remember is that not one size fits all. We've got a lot of people looking at a lot of different things, and marketing tells us that it takes 7 to 10 hits to actually get somebody's attention. And we've actually seen that play out this year. We'll have people call us and say, I saw your billboard, I saw it in a magazine, I saw a television commercial, and then I heard it on the radio, and I was like, okay, I'm going to pick up the phone and call. So I think what we have to remember is that we've got to reach people in lots of different ways to get them through the door to come to our different classes. So let's rock and roll through Tools of the Trade. I hope that you will find some new tools to put in your toolbox. The first thing that we're going to talk about is perspectives on relationships. There are some really cool things out there. Aaron Larson is